Last time on Guns and Glitter, Grace rescued 3 women she discovered were being held captive in a locked room. In an adjacent room, she found drugs and money. Against her better judgment, she stole the drugs to sell so she could support herself and the rescued women. Welcome to CC Writes. My name is Cece Lepke. This week, I'm sharing episode 14 of my story, Guns and Glitter. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you'll know when the next episode is out. Keera's eyes filled with tears as the women traipsed upstairs. That could have been us. It wasn't. But it could have been. I'm so sorry, Grace. Grace pulled the bottle of bleach from Keera's hands. Don't apologize. She unscrewed the lid and poured it onto the spot where Keera threw up. Give me a hand. We should wipe down all the surfaces just in case, and maybe soak their hands in this just in case one of them scratched us. She looked at the door where the bodies were held and shivered. Yeah, okay, we can do this. They wiped down every surface of the room. Keera found a bowl and set about cleaning off the men's hands and under their fingernails, while Grace snooped around the rest of the room. The second padlocked door off to the side itched her curiosity, so she tried out Bandana Man's keys once more. Yet again, it took way too long to find the right one. The lock fell to the ground. Upstairs, the shower hummed quietly. Keera scrubbed at the wall and floor in the other room. Sirens rang in the distance, but Grace didn't think any would be on the way to check out the gunshots. The houses in the area looked mostly abandoned, and it was late at night. Most likely there was no one to hear what happened inside the house, which is how the men could get away with squirreling away women in secret. She took a breath and pulled the door open. It was too dark to clearly see what was inside. Groping around the wall, Grace found a light switch and flipped it up. Bright white LEDs filled every inch of the space, where a small table held 6 large white bricks and several stacks of cash. A small scale sat on the table on the opposite side with a large box full of small plastic bags. Grace stared at the objects on the table, flabbergasted. It was a drug operation. She cursed and took a few steps out of the room. Keera? Yeah, sugar? Keera sounded like she was trying her best not to throw up again. You almost done in there? Just about. Grace looked back into the drug room one more time. Small-scale drug dealers like the men in the room were a problem, but not as much of one as whoever provided the drugs. It would be stupid to cross someone like that. If she was smart, she would leave the money and drugs where they were and take off with the other women. On the other hand, those women probably had nowhere to go. They were hungry, scared, and Grace knew firsthand that there were no resources available for people like that. The money could keep them going for a while. She grabbed her half-empty duffel bag off of the floor and scooped the cash into it. For a moment, she stared at the drugs. Grace chewed the edge of her lip. Upstairs, the water turned off, and she heard the pitter-patter of feet as the women got dressed. Money would only last them for a short while. They needed stability. Grace looked at the drugs with fresh eyes. If she ignored that it was illegal, ignored the harm that it did to the communities where she lived. It was just a product. It was a product that was in high demand. In the right hands, it was an opportunity. The kind of opportunity she'd never had. 6 years in school, getting a fancy degree in business, only ever got her a job as a stripper. Maybe it's time to change that. Grace scooped the drugs and scale into her bag and zipped it shut as the other women reached the bottom of the stairs. She quickly turned off the light to the room and shut the door. Keera, we should get going. Do you have a place we can stay tonight? Keera walked out of the side room and shut the door. Streaks of filth crossed her hands and forearms. I've been staying at a motel on the other side of town. We can go there. Let's get out of this neighborhood first before we call an Uber. They all nodded in agreement and carefully followed Grace out of the basement door and up the stairs to freedom. Should we burn it? The tall woman hugged the other woman close as she glared back at the house. Grace tugged at her braid, unsure. Keera was the one who answered. If everything doesn't burn in time, we'll just alert people that something's wrong. Better to just leave and hope they rot there forever. Grace smiled at Keera. You guys heard the boss. Let's go. She eyed the terribly skinny woman. We'll grab some food along the way. Lots of food. The whispery woman squealed happily. I want bacon so bad, and ice cream with caramel. The other women sighed with longing and wrapped their arms around their emaciated bodies. What's your name? Keera laid a hand softly on the whispery woman's shoulder. Tina. She glanced down at her feet shyly. Tina, I'm gonna buy you an entire bucket of ice cream. Keera shook her head. And we're going to talk about how awful men are while we eat that ice cream. Then we're going to cry, because I'm pretty sure we both need it right now. The tall woman shrugged her shoulders. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of crying. Grace looked at the smallest woman, who remained silent and watchful. What kind of food would you like? The tall woman patted the girl's black hair. Her name is Anna. She hasn't said a word in days. Last week they pulled her out of the room without us. Her brows knit together angrily. I tried to stop them, but... She waved a hand at the tiny woman's bruised face. We had to sit in that disgusting room and listen to Anna scream while they hurt her. Helen. The whispery woman hugged the tall woman around her waist. It's not your fault. Grace had never seen a person look so completely empty. Helen looked like she'd survived in body at the loss of her soul. Pushing aside pity, Grace knelt down in front of the smallest woman, Anna. I'm going to make sure nothing like this ever happens to you again. Helen snorted. Yeah? How are you going to do that? The duffel bag dug into Grace's shoulder. She shifted it and patted the side. I have a couple of ideas. Starting with this. She pulled out a nicely sorted pile of 20s and handed it to the much taller woman. I didn't think those men would need that anymore. Helen's eyes went round. Yeah, no kidding. Her fingers shook, and she handed the stack back to Grace. She wiped her mouth. Money only lasts so long. We'll have to make good use of it then. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Guns and Glitter. I hope you like the story so far. If this is your first time watching and you like what you heard, then make sure to go back and check out the story from the beginning. I'll post the link in the description. This is a continuing story, and I plan to share the entire thing with you on a weekly basis until the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you'll know when the next episode comes out. Till next time, see you later.